Good afternoon, Salam Sejahtera, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank my two colleagues, Paul and David, who together with me prepared this slide, and I got the privilege to stand here to present this. The title of my presentation today is RSPO Grievance Procedure, Dispute Settlement Facility and the Certification System. I'm pleased to share that we just had conducted a small workshop this past Sunday with the purpose to evaluate the current system. And one thing, and undeniably, there is a growing number of grievances received by RSPO. Hence, it is indeed a continuous effort to improve the system. The content of my presentation today will be, sorry, I'm yet to learn this technology. Okay. The content of my presentation is as outlined there. I'll talk about the objective of the system, system component, lesson learned, challenges, the Secretariat's role, way forward, some recommended next step, and conclusion. As we all may know, the objective of having the grievance procedure within the RSPO are, firstly, to help achieve the RSPO missions, which is to ensure adherence to the RSPO PNC and the Code of Conduct. We believe that compliance of the RSPO PNC and the Code of Conduct is the way to achieve our shared goal in RSPO towards sustainability. Secondly, it is also our objective that by having this system in place, we will keep our members engaged, and we would like to see continuous improvement to happen not only in the system, but also in terms of the practices among our members. This we hope we could achieve via transparent communication. And the third objective is, it is our commitment to ensure justice is truly served in cases of violences. These RSPO systems are not a replacement of or way around government and legal regulations. They are a complement to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Dispute Settlement Facility, or DSF, is a new initiative within the RSPO, and it only active just recently, July 2011. Discussion on the need of such facility, however, has already been discussed since some years back, and there are already narrative documents and flowcharts that explain the concept of DSF, how we would want it to be implemented, but we all know it is yet to be tested, and from there we hope we can continue to further improve the system. When we talk about grievance or complaint in RSPO, there are four main components involved in dealing with it. The first one is RSPO Secretariat itself. The Secretariat is the place where we do all the coordination, administrations, and communications. Another component is the RSPO certification system, whereby it deals with the performance of auditors and certification bodies and certification decisions. The third component is the DSF, a service provider offered to the disputant parties as ways to find amicable solution, a role that we do through improved communication and mediation. And the last component is the grievance procedure, a system within the RSPO that handles complaints against RSPO as an organization. It also helps addresses breaches of code of conduct, and also sometimes deals on compensation as well. Ladies and gentlemen, being a young organization, we do acknowledge that there are many complaints received by RSPO of variety types of complaints, and it is often and highly complex in nature. It can be a combination of issues such as land-based conflict, human rights issues, HCV issues, and many others. It can also be about individual member or about RSPO in general. It can be involving a big company, small company, who are members to RSPO. And in every case, and most of the time, issues are very unique and complex, RSPO would need to make a responsible and defensible response. Now, talking about challenges, one of the most challenging things we face currently is the demand that exceeds our capacity. What do we mean by that? The amount of tasks involved when dealing with complaints are complex and quite a lot, but we have limited number of staff to handle it. The Secretariat will need to do the coordination, the administration of the case, as well as to monitor all aspects of complaints, right from the moment we receive the complaint, processing it, contacting the stakeholders for fact findings, etc., as well as to handle the communications. The Secretariat plays a coordinating and facilitating role, but it cannot be expected to resolve. It administers the whole realm of complaints, including use of grievance procedure, DSF, and certification system. The Secretariat also needs to monitor its own functionality in doing all these tasks. We also have the grievance panel, which is responsible to preside and deliberate on grievances that are brought to RSPO, which later will provide recommendations for resolution to be adopted by one or both parties involved in any conflict. However, this panel, who are composed of the executive board members, is served by part-time voluntary persons. It is also quite challenging to note that for the DSF to function effectively, it needs to reach out to communities and companies, and we need to conduct capacity building, and if possible, to produce communication materials, etc. And the same applies with the RSPO certification systems, whereby we need clearer timelines for imposing necessary corrective actions and better integrations with the other resolution processes. Ladies and gentlemen, while we acknowledge the current challenges and limitations, we believe that there are many creative ways towards resolution. Firstly, the parties involved in any conflict need to work out the problem between each other. RSPO Secretariat may offer the role to link both parties, and so do other organizations like any NGOs. But the point here is that there must be a high level of willingness by both parties to agree to work out the conflict. Another one is to have corrective action done via the certification and or the accreditation body. The next is mediation through DSF, but this is just in the beginning. We're just starting the DSF facility in the Secretariat, and it is still pilot programs. Again, the way I see this to work, it requires both sides, for example, company and communities to participate. Grievance panel, as well as Secretariat, has been trying to do more jobs than we are talking about here right now. RSPO needs to clearly delineate roles. Perhaps sometimes suspension is a more constructive step than outright termination. So this may be another option. As a way forward, mediation under the DSF is a viable option for many kinds of disputes. Mediation could be used for more than just on land conflicts. It can also be used to discuss issues related to HCV issues, labor issues, human rights, company commitments, the community, etc. This could be involve discussions about compensation settlement. And having said that, definitely there are resource constraints and priorities as regard current funding and donor requirement. As steps to continuously improving the process, these are some of the recommended next steps to be taken. Review and revise grievance panel's terms of reference, clarification of the Secretariat responsibilities and how it can channel complaints. RSPO clarifies duties and expectations of the certification and accreditation systems, promote and build capacity for using of the SF, clarify timelines for progressions of steps through the GP or grievance procedure and the SF, clearer distinction and definition among investigation, decision, implementation, and monitoring. The Secretariat cannot always guarantee a timeline for an actual resolution, especially in the case of mediation. Its main role is to coordinate and facilitate. The DSF protocol currently requires that the Secretariat and the EB, the Executive Board, to oversee the performance of the DSF. Oversight to make sure that all of the systems are operating as they are designed is a critical function for ensuring quality and credibility of these programs and of RSPO overall. If RSPO cannot follow through on this, it could also contract to external party to do it. As a closing thought, RSPO is an initiative that is at mainstream scale already. No longer a niche. It deals with a complex set of socioeconomic conditions, and RSPO is pioneering dispute resolution. We learn through the process, and we welcome constructive ideas to further improve the system. As a conclusion, RSPO must be able to adequately address these grievances, and this is make or break for RSPO. It requires the whole RSPO community's commitment. And we also, and having said this, we realize and we acknowledge that we would also need more funding and human resources for this critical work. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.